Well, thank you and good morning. Nice to be here. Some years ago, when I first came to a Genesis Partners dinner, Jim asked me to describe the state of the internet. And I said, well, you know, it's a baby. We're really at the very beginning. And at that time, I said, we've really only seen about 2% of what the internet has to offer. In other words, if all the things that could make our lives better, make things simpler, if they were all available on the internet, we were only 2% of the way there. Well, we've come a long way since that night, but we're really still near the beginning. How can I say that? Well, let's take a look at retail. You just heard a great story about it. Let's explore that a little bit further. Retail sales in America are, last year, $4.7 trillion. What percentage of that $4.7 trillion do you think was bought online? Most people guess 20%, 25, 30%, 7.5%. That's all, 7.5%. We're in the early days. 7.5% of 4.7 trillion is 340 billion. $340 billion, that's how much was purchased online. What was Amazon's sales for that same period? 107 billion. Now, if you split out the web services, cloud-based services, split out the non-US retail, you're left, I estimate, with about 68 billion. 68 billion is 20% of 340 billion. So one company got 20% of the pie. How many e-tailers are there in America? 200,000. So one out of 200,000 got 20% of the pie. How could that be possible? Well, I assert that it's possible because of a very simple concept which I call net attitude. So what is net attitude? Well, it's a state of mind, it's a way of thinking, it's a cultural thing from the early days of the internet. It's thinking about customers, thinking about how to make customers happy. So I began to think about this. Remember back in the 1960s, some of you might be old enough to remember then, there was a very famous case before the Supreme Court. The subject of the hearing was obscenity. And a famous justice at that time named Potter Stewart said, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. And that sort of describes net attitude as well. You know it when you see it. So for example, at Amazon, if you have a problem or an issue, which is unusual, and you go to the site for some help, and you click, I have a problem. They say, well, do you want to send us an email, or would you like to talk to us? I'd like to talk to you. Would you like us to call you, or would you like to call us? I'd like you to call me. This is the phone number we have on record for you. Is that the correct number? I click yes, and my phone rings. Hi, this is Bill at Amazon. How can I help you? That's net attitude. And it's a state of thinking. It's a state of mind. Now, let's contrast that with some things that are not net attitude. I went to a large website not long ago and got into this what's your secret question and answer routine. What was your first employer? I put in IBM. Error. You have entered false information. It must be 5 characters. So much for IBM, GE, NBC, CNN. Now, last night you heard from Keeb. Do you know why Keeb has 3 E's in it? So they can use that website. So I moved on to what's your favorite color? Blue. Of course, after 35 years at IBM, blue. You have entered an invalid response. It must be 5 characters. So much for red and pink and gray. So these are some net attitude problems. Now, what about security? I think we all know that it's almost a given. You should have a long, ugly, unrememberable password. Lots of special characters, something nobody could possibly remember. And so I was visiting Comcast one day for my iPhone. And I had not used this particular app on the iPhone before. I have an ID and a password, and it said enter your password. So I go to 1Password where I store all my passwords. I copy the password. I go to the field, click to paste. It won't paste. Oh, I must have done something wrong. Copy it again, click, paste. Won't paste. they don't allow you to paste. So I called Comcast tech support. I said, I can't paste. Oh, no, we don't allow pasting of a password. Oh, well, I have this problem. I have this big, long, unrememberable password. It's a great, strong password. I can't paste it? No. Well, what do you recommend? Oh, we recommend you have a short password that's easy to remember. One more example, then there's JavaScript. JavaScript, so brilliant. A programming language that works in the browser. It can do amazing things. Look at Gmail and Yahoo Mail and so many great apps that run very sophisticated calculations and algorithms right in the browser. So many sites, I would venture to say most sites, where you enter a social security number or a date or a telephone number, they say you've entered an invalid telephone number. Special characters are not allowed. Well, couldn't JavaScript like take whatever you entered with or without dashes, and if the database wants dashes, put in the dashes? If the database doesn't want the dashes, take the dashes out? An 8th grader could do this. But most websites don't. This is so elementary. That's what NetAttitude is all about. It's thinking about customers, walking in their shoes. Now, I'd like to share with you a few ideas about NetAttitude that can really make a difference in how you get your business going. You know, by the way, there's so many websites that are afflicted with this lack of NetAttitude. I mean, look at the banks, the insurance companies, patient portals. Oh my goodness. They're so hard to use. You click and it doesn't do what you expect it to do. They're unreliable, they're confusing. Most websites, most of them. There are many great ones, but the majority of them just don't seem to get this idea of making it simple. And what they are really missing is that your website is your brand. Your brand is not the Coca-Cola image or the IBM 8-bar logo or the 3 pillars of a bank. No, they used to be the brand. The brand is your website. And if it's flaky, then your brand is flaky. So that's a way to think about it. Now, a couple of principles of NetAttitude. In the book, which please pick up a copy if you haven't already, I describe a dozen or so of these principles. I'm going to just touch on 2 of them in this respect for time. The first one is think big, act bold, start simple, iterate fast. Think big. We are at the beginning. There's so much possibility. Last year at the Genesis Partners dinner, I talked about the characteristics of the internet. You'll find it in NetAttitude. Fast, always on, everywhere, natural, intelligent, easy, and trusted. And those 7 characteristics of the internet are evolving rapidly and changing what the internet is all about. So we're at the very early stages. We're not 90% of the way there, we're 10% of the way there. So act bold. You heard Jet.com, they're acting bold. You look at Uber and Lyft and Airbnb and so many other, they're acting bold in spaces that have not previously been entered. That's what it takes, act bold. But number 3, start simple. Start simple. Let me give you an example of not starting simple. Healthcare.gov. They had a different mantra. Think big, act big, start big, fail big. The well-intentions that they had just didn't cut it because they didn't start simple. Start with one state. Start with one age category. Start with one kind of insurance. Make sure it works. Get the feedback and iterate quickly. If you use Inbox from Google for your mail, you'll see down at the bottom every day a new version is available. Click here to refresh. A new version. So the old idea of a big release is an old idea. Think big, act bold, start simple, iterate fast. Now, another principle of NetAttitude is think outside in, not inside out. Outside, that's where all the people are. They have the power. We should walk in their shoes. So what's an example of inside out? The call center. The call center. You call to change your postal code. Your postal code just changed, you need to update it. So you try to do it on the web and you give up. You can't find any way to do it on the website, so you call. Not that you want to, but you call. Hello, welcome to ABC Company. Press 1 for English, 2 for Spanish. Please pay attention because our menus have recently changed. Every phone tree in the world, their menu has recently changed. How can that be? Press 1 for service, 2 for sales, 3 for support, 4 for the location of our nearest branch offices, 5. I said, oh, geez, I just want to change my postal code. I want to talk to somebody. I don't really want to talk to somebody. I just want to get to end a job here, but I guess I need to talk to somebody. 0. You have pressed an invalid key. There's net attitude for you. Well, let's see. The other day I tried one. It was a 9. That worked. 9. Thanks for calling. Goodbye. See, that's thinking from the inside out, not from the outside in. It's a very simple concept. Oh, by the way, enter your 16-digit account number. You enter your 16-digit account number. Hello, this is Mary. How can I help you? Well, I'd like to change my postal code. Fine. What's your account code, account number? Oh, I just entered it. Oh, well, it didn't show up. Have you ever heard that? Every one of them, it doesn't show up. How can that be? Was the system designed that way? Somebody just doesn't have net attitude. So the opportunity is huge. If we think big, act bold, start simple, iterate fast. Thanks very much. Thank you. Oh, good.